Let me begin with a question that may disturb you just enough to wake you up. If everything in your life is out of control, have you ever considered that the problem may not be your circumstances, but your management? Because life does not respond to wishes. Life responds to management. And until you learn to manage 4 critical areas, your mouth, your mind, your mood, and your money, you will continue to live beneath your potential, not because you lack ability, but because you lack control. You see, purpose is the key to discipline. When a man discovers why he exists, he begins to control how he lives. And many people today are not failing because they are weak. They are failing because they are undefined. When purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And the greatest abuse in life is self-mismanagement. Let us begin with something very simple, yet very powerful: your mouth. Your mouth is not just for communication, it is an instrument of creation. Everything you consistently say, you eventually see. Words are seeds, they carry creative power, and many people are living in harvest seasons of words they planted carelessly years ago. You cannot speak negatively and expect a positive life. You cannot constantly declare defeat and expect victory to visit your doorstep. Life listens to your language. Discipline your mouth. Pause before you speak. Ask yourself, is what I am about to say building my future or destroying it? Because leadership begins with self-leadership, and self-leadership begins with controlling your tongue. A leader who cannot control his words cannot control his world. Some of you need to go on a fast, not from food, but from negative speech. Stop rehearsing your problems. Stop announcing your fears. Stop magnifying what is wrong. Instead, align your words with your purpose, because when your words change, your direction changes. Now let us move deeper. Your mind. Your mind is the most powerful territory you will ever manage. It is the control center of your life. Everything begins in the mind before it appears in your reality. Vision is the ability to see beyond the present into your preferred future. But if your mind is cluttered with fear, doubt, insecurity, and comparison, your vision becomes blurred. You must protect your mind like a king protects his throne. Not everything deserves access to your thinking. Not every opinion deserves space in your head. Some of you are mentally exhausted, not because life is too hard, but because you are entertaining too many unnecessary thoughts. Guard your input. What you watch, what you listen to, who you spend time with, these are not small matters. They are shaping your mental environment, and your mental environment determines your life's direction. Let me say it again slowly. Your life moves in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. So if you want to change your life, do not start with your circumstances. Start with your thinking. Renew your mind daily. Feed it with truth, with purpose, with vision. Because a disciplined mind produces a disciplined life. Now let us talk about something people often ignore but that controls many lives: your mood. Your mood is your emotional climate, and many people are victims of their emotions instead of masters of them. Listen carefully. Maturity is not the absence of emotion, but the management of emotion. You cannot allow how you feel to dictate what you do, because feelings are temporary, but decisions are permanent. Some people wake up and say, "I don't feel like it today." And that one sentence has destroyed more dreams than failure ever could. You must train yourself to act on purpose, not on mood. There are days you will not feel motivated. There are days you will not feel strong. There are days you will not feel confident. But purpose does not wait for your feelings. Purpose demands discipline. Control your emotional responses. When anger comes, pause. When frustration rises, breathe. When fear whispers, remind yourself of your vision. Because a person who cannot manage their mood will sabotage every opportunity placed in their hands. And now, let us address something very practical, yet deeply spiritual: your money. Money is not evil. Money is a tool. But like any tool, if you do not control it, it will control you. Many people pray for financial increase, but they lack financial discipline. An increase without discipline leads to destruction. You must learn the principle of stewardship. Stewardship is the ability to manage resources that do not belong to you as if they do. Everything you have is a trust. And how you manage what you have determines whether you qualify for more. Stop spending emotionally. Stop using money to impress people who are not thinking about you. Stop allowing your income to be controlled by your impulses. Develop a plan. Give your money an assignment before it leaves your hand. Because if you do not tell your money where to go, it will always disappear without explanation. Save consistently. Invest wisely. Spend intentionally. And remember this, wealth is not how much you earn, it is how much you keep and multiply. Now, as you listen to this, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself honestly, where am I lacking control? Is it my words? Is it my thinking? Is it my emotions? Or is it my finances? Do not answer quickly. Reflect deeply, because awareness is the beginning of transformation. You cannot change what you refuse to confront. And here is the beauty of it all: you do not need to fix everything overnight. You simply need to begin. Control one word at a time, one thought at a time, one reaction at a time, one financial decision at a time, because greatness is not built in moments of intensity, but in habits of consistency. You were not created to be a victim of life. You were designed to manage it, to lead it, to bring it into alignment with your purpose. And when you learn to control your mouth, your mind, your mood, and your money, something powerful happens. You regain authority over your life. You stop reacting and start directing. You stop surviving and start building. You stop drifting and start leading. So I leave you with this thought: your future is not waiting on opportunity. Your future is waiting on your discipline. Take control, step into your purpose, and begin to live the life you were created to live. Your mouth is one of the most powerful instruments you have been given, yet it is also one of the most dangerous if left undisciplined. Many people underestimate the power of words because they cannot see them, but just because something is invisible does not mean it is ineffective. Electricity is invisible, yet it powers entire cities. In the same way, your words carry an unseen force that shapes your life in ways you may not even realize. Everything you consistently say is programming your mind, influencing your decisions, and ultimately constructing your reality. Your words are not just sounds, they are containers of belief. They reveal what you truly think about yourself, about your future, and about your possibilities. And life has a way of responding to those beliefs. You cannot speak defeat every day and expect to live in victory. You cannot constantly declare weakness and then wonder why strength never shows up in your life. It is not that opportunities are avoiding you. It is that your words are rejecting them before they even arrive. Many people are praying for change, but they are speaking against the very things they are asking for. There is a principle you must understand. Your mouth will either agree with your purpose or it will sabotage it. There is no neutral position. Every time you speak, you are either building your future or tearing it down. This is why discipline is so important. Discipline is not restriction. Discipline is protection. When you discipline your mouth, you are protecting your destiny. You are ensuring that what comes out of you aligns with where you are going, not just with how you feel in the moment. Most people speak based on emotion rather than intention. When they feel frustrated, they speak frustration. When they feel afraid, they speak fear. When they feel insecure, they speak limitation. But feelings are temporary and words are lasting. A moment of uncontrolled speech can create consequences that linger for years. You must learn to pause before you speak. That pause is powerful. In that moment, you take control. You ask yourself a simple but life-changing question. Is what I am about to say consistent with the future I desire? If the answer is no, then silence becomes your wisdom. Not everything you think should be spoken. Not everything you feel should be expressed. Maturity is knowing the difference between what is true and what is necessary. You may feel something strongly, but that does not mean it deserves a voice. Your mouth must be governed by your purpose, not by your pressure. Many people destroy relationships, opportunities, and even their own self-image because they have never trained their tongue. They speak carelessly, and then they spend years trying to repair what a few seconds of words damaged. Words once released cannot be retrieved. They travel, They land and they produce. You must become intentional about your language. Begin to replace careless speech with purposeful declarations. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," train yourself to say, "I am learning how to do this." Instead of saying, "Things never work out for me," say, "I am aligning myself with better outcomes." These are not just positive statements, they are directional statements. They guide your mind and your actions toward a different result. Understand this clearly. Your brain listens to your words. It takes your statements as instructions. If you constantly say, "I am tired," your body begins to comply. If you repeatedly say, "I am not good enough," your mind begins to believe it. And once the mind believes something, it begins to act accordingly. So your words are not just external communication, they are internal programming. You must become the architect of your own language. There is also something deeper at work. Your words not only affect you, they affect others. Every person you speak to is influenced, either positively or negatively, by what comes out of your mouth. You are either depositing encouragement or withdrawing confidence. You are either building someone up or quietly tearing them down. A disciplined mouth understands responsibility. It recognizes that words carry weight. They can heal or they can harm. They can inspire or they can discourage. And once you understand that, you begin to treat your speech with greater care. Leadership begins here. Before you can lead others, you must lead yourself. And one of the first signs of self-leadership is controlled speech. A person who cannot control their tongue cannot be trusted with greater responsibility. Why? Because leadership amplifies influence, and influence without discipline becomes dangerous. You do not rise to leadership by chance. You rise by character, and character is revealed in what you say, especially under pressure. When everything is going well, it is easy to speak positively. But when challenges come, when pressure rises, when things do not go according to plan, that is when your true language is revealed. And that is where discipline must be strongest. Do not allow your circumstances to dictate your vocabulary. Instead, let your vision dictate your vocabulary. Vision is not just something you see, it is something you say. You must speak in alignment with where you are going, even when you are not there yet. That is not denial, that is direction. You are not ignoring reality, you are guiding it. There will be moments when silence is your greatest strength. Silence is not weakness, silence is control. When you refuse to speak negativity, you are not suppressing yourself, you are mastering yourself. Some of you need to reduce your words, not increase them. Speak less, but speak better. Speak with intention. Speak with clarity. Speak with purpose. Quality of speech matters more than quantity. Another area where discipline is needed is in how you speak about yourself. Many people are their own worst critics. They use their mouths to diminish their own value. They replay past mistakes through their words, constantly reminding themselves of what went wrong. You must stop speaking against yourself. You are not helping yourself by being harsh. You are not growing by constantly condemning yourself. Growth requires honesty, but it also requires hope. Speak in a way that allows you to move forward, not in a way that keeps you stuck. Say what is true, but also say what is possible, because possibility is the language of purpose. If you listen carefully to people, you can predict their future by their words. Those who speak with vision eventually live with vision. Those who speak with doubt often live limited lives. It is not coincidence, it is alignment. Your life follows your language. So begin to audit your words. Pay attention to what you say daily. Notice the patterns. Notice the repeated phrases. Because those repeated phrases are shaping your reality more than you think. And do not try to change everything at once. Start small. Choose one area where you will become more disciplined. Maybe it is complaining. Maybe it is self-doubt. Maybe it is negative assumptions about others. Catch yourself in the moment. Correct yourself immediately. Replace the word. Over time, this becomes a habit, and habits once formed begin to shape your life automatically. This is not about perfection. It is about progress. You will make mistakes. You will say things you regret, but the goal is awareness and improvement. Each day, become a little more intentional, a little more disciplined, a little more aligned. Remember this, your mouth is a tool, not a master. It was given to you to express purpose, not to release every passing thought. You are in control, not your impulses. And when you truly understand the power of your words, you begin to treat them with respect. You begin to recognize that every sentence is an opportunity to build, to guide, to create. So choose your words carefully, speak with intention, align your language with your vision, and watch how your life begins to respond differently. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. Because in the end, the person who controls their mouth is not just controlling their speech, they are shaping their destiny. Your mind is the most powerful asset you possess, yet it is also the most neglected. Many people invest time in developing skills, chasing opportunities, and building external success, but they ignore the very control center that determines how far those efforts will go. If your mind is not disciplined, nothing else in your life will remain consistent. You may achieve success for a moment, but you will not sustain it, because sustainability is a product of internal order. Everything in your life begins in your mind. Before you act, you think. Before you speak, you process. Before you decide, you imagine possibilities. Your mind is not just a part of your life, it is the foundation of your life. And whatever controls your mind ultimately controls you. This is why you must learn to take responsibility for your thinking. Not occasionally, not when you feel like it, but daily. Because your mind does not remain neutral. It is always absorbing, always processing, always forming conclusions. And if you do not intentionally guide it, it will be shaped by whatever environment you expose it to. Many people live in mental environments they have never consciously chosen. They wake up and immediately consume information, social media, news, opinions, conversations, without filtering what they allow into their minds. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, distracted, and unfocused. It is not a mystery. It is a result of unmanaged input. Your mind is like soil. Whatever you plant in it will grow. It does not discriminate. It does not argue. It simply produces. If you plant doubt, it will produce hesitation. If you plant fear, it will produce anxiety. If you plant vision, it will produce direction. So the question is not whether your mind is producing something. The question is, what have you been planting? You must become intentional about your mental diet. Just as your body reflects what you eat physically, your life reflects what you consume mentally. You cannot fill your mind with negativity and expect to live a positive life. You cannot constantly expose yourself to confusion and expect clarity to emerge. Guard your mind. This is not about isolation from the world. It is about filtration. It is about choosing what deserves access to your thinking. Not every voice is worth listening to. Not every opinion is valuable. And not every piece of information is necessary. Some of you are carrying mental clutter that has nothing to do with your purpose. You are thinking about things that do not contribute to your growth, your vision, or your assignment. And that clutter is draining your energy. Clarity requires removal. You must learn to let go of thoughts that do not serve your future. Just because a thought enters your mind does not mean it deserves to stay. Thoughts are like visitors. You have the authority to decide which ones you entertain and which ones you dismiss. This is where discipline becomes essential. Because your mind will not automatically think in alignment with your purpose. It must be trained. Training your mind requires repetition. It requires consistency. It requires the willingness to challenge your own thinking patterns. Many of your thoughts today are not original. They are inherited. They were shaped by your upbringing, your environment, your experiences, and the opinions of others. And while those influences may have been beyond your control in the past, they are not beyond your control now. You have the ability to renew your mind. Renewal means replacing old patterns with new ones. It means identifying beliefs that limit you and intentionally introducing beliefs that empower you. It means refusing to accept thoughts that contradict your purpose. For example, if your mind tells you you are not capable, you do not passively accept that statement, you confront it. You replace it with truth. You say, I am developing the capacity I need. And you repeat that until your mind begins to align with it. This is not denial, this is reprogramming. Your mind is programmable, and you are the programmer. But here is where many people struggle. They are inconsistent. They think positively one day and negatively the next. They focus for a moment and then drift. They start strong but lack endurance. And because of that inconsistency, they never experience the full power of a disciplined mind. Consistency is what transforms thinking into results. You must develop daily habits that strengthen your mind. This could be reading, reflection, meditation, or simply spending time in silence to think clearly, because thinking is not automatic clarity. Thinking must be directed. Many people are busy, but they are not thoughtful. They are active, but they are not intentional. They move quickly, but they do not move wisely. And all of this stems from a lack of mental discipline. Slow down your thinking. Take time to process. Take time to evaluate. Take time to align your thoughts with your vision. Because vision is not just something you see once, it is something you must rehearse in your mind repeatedly. Vision gives your mind direction. Without vision, your mind wanders. It becomes distracted by everything and committed to nothing. But when you have a clear vision, your mind begins to organize itself around that vision. Your thoughts become more focused, your decisions become more intentional, your actions become more aligned. This is why purpose is so important. Purpose gives your mind a framework. It answers the question, what should I be thinking about? And once that question is answered, your mental energy is no longer wasted. Another important aspect of controlling your mind is managing your imagination. Your imagination is a powerful tool. It allows you to see what does not yet exist. It allows you to create mentally before you create physically. But if left unmanaged, your imagination can also work against you. Many people use their imagination to rehearse failure. They imagine worst-case scenarios. They play out fears. They visualize negative outcomes. And then they wonder why they feel anxious. You must redirect your imagination. Instead of imagining what could go wrong, begin to imagine what could go right. See yourself succeeding. See yourself growing. See yourself overcoming challenges. This is not fantasy, it is preparation. Your mind must see it before your life can produce it. And as you begin to train your mind, you will notice something important. You will become more aware of your internal dialogue, that constant conversation happening within you. That voice that comments on everything you do. You must learn to master that voice. If your internal dialogue is negative, critical, and limiting, it will affect your confidence, your decisions, and your performance. But if your internal dialogue is constructive, encouraging, and aligned with your purpose, it will strengthen you. Speak to yourself wisely. Do not allow your mind to become a place of constant criticism. Let it become a place of strategy, growth, and vision. There will be moments when your mind resists discipline. It will seek comfort. It will seek distraction. It will try to pull you back into old patterns. That is normal. But discipline is not about ease. It is about commitment. You must remain committed to your mental growth, even when it is uncomfortable. Because a disciplined mind is not built in a day. It is built over time through consistent effort and intentional practice. And as your mind becomes more disciplined, you will begin to notice changes in every area of your life. Your decisions will improve, your focus will sharpen, your confidence will grow, your actions will become more effective. Why? Because everything flows from your mind. So take ownership of your thinking. Stop blaming external factors for internal confusion. Stop allowing random inputs to shape your reality. Step into your authority and begin to manage your mind with intention. Because when you control your mind, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You are no longer easily shaken by challenges. You are no longer distracted by every passing thought. You become stable. You become focused. You become purposeful. And ultimately, you become the kind of person who does not just react to life, but who directs it. Because a controlled mind is not just a peaceful mind, it is a powerful mind. Your mood is one of the most subtle yet powerful forces influencing your life because it operates quietly beneath your actions, shaping how you respond to situations, how you treat people, and how you perceive opportunities. Many people underestimate the impact of their emotional state because moods feel natural, automatic, and sometimes uncontrollable. But anything left unmanaged will eventually take control over you, and your mood is no exception. You must understand something very clearly. You are not responsible for every emotion that arises within you, but you are responsible for how you manage it. Emotions are signals, not commands. They are indicators of what is happening internally, but they were never designed to dictate your decisions. When you allow your mood to control your actions, you surrender your authority over your own life. Maturity begins when you separate feeling from function. There are days when you will feel energized, confident, and ready to take on the world. On those days, discipline feels easy, but true growth is not revealed on easy days. It is revealed on difficult days when you feel tired, unmotivated, frustrated, or discouraged. Those are the moments that define your character. Because if your productivity depends on your mood, your progress will always be inconsistent. You cannot build a great life on inconsistent effort. This is why you must train yourself to act based on purpose, not based on how you feel. Purpose is stable. Purpose is constant. Purpose does not change with your emotions. When you are connected to your purpose, you have a reference point that keeps you grounded, even when your feelings fluctuate. Many people wake up and make a decision about their entire day based on how they feel in that moment. If they feel good, they move forward. If they feel low, they withdraw. And over time, this pattern creates instability. Their life becomes a reflection of emotional ups and downs rather than intentional direction. You must break that cycle. You must decide that your feelings will no longer be the authority in your life. They will be acknowledged, but not obeyed without evaluation. This requires awareness. You must become aware of your emotional patterns. What triggers your frustration? What causes your discouragement? What situations shift your mood negatively? When you understand your triggers, you gain the ability to prepare for them instead of being surprised by them. Because many emotional reactions are predictable. If you know that certain situations tend to affect your mood, you can enter those situations with a prepared mindset. You can decide in advance how you will respond, and that decision gives you control before the emotion even arises. Preparation is a form of emotional discipline. Another important aspect of managing your mood is learning the power of pause. Most emotional damage happens in moments of reaction. A quick response, driven by anger or frustration, can damage relationships, create conflict, and lead to regret. But when you pause, even briefly, you interrupt that automatic reaction. You create space between the emotion and the action. And in that space, you regain control. A pause may only take a few seconds, but it can change the outcome of an entire situation. In that pause, you ask yourself, what is the right response, not the immediate response? And often, those two are not the same. This is especially important in relationships. Many relationships suffer not because of major issues, but because of repeated moments of unmanaged emotion. A harsh word spoken in anger, a dismissive tone during frustration, a reaction that was never necessary, and over time these small moments accumulate. You must learn to protect your relationships by managing your mood, because people may forget what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. Emotional discipline is not about suppressing your feelings, it is about expressing them wisely. You can be honest without being harmful. You can be direct without being destructive. You can communicate your emotions in a way that builds understanding rather than creating division. This requires emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize your emotions, understand them, and manage them effectively. It allows you to respond with intention rather than react impulsively. And like any skill, it can be developed. It begins with observation. Pay attention to your emotional responses throughout the day. Notice how quickly your mood shifts. Notice what influences those shifts. Notice how your mood affects your behavior. Because awareness precedes control. Once you become aware, you can begin to make adjustments. You can catch yourself in moments of negative emotion and choose a different response. You can redirect your thinking. You can change your posture, your breathing, your focus. These small adjustments have a significant impact. Your body and your mind are connected. When your mood shifts, your body reflects it. Your posture changes, your tone changes, your energy changes. But the reverse is also true. You can influence your mood by changing your physical state. Stand up straight, take a deep breath, move your body. These are simple actions, but they send signals to your mind that can shift your emotional state. You are not as powerless as you may think. Another key principle is understanding that moods are temporary. No emotional state lasts forever. The problem is not the emotion itself, it is the decisions made while under its influence. Never make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. When you feel overwhelmed, do not make drastic choices. When you feel angry, do not make critical statements. When you feel discouraged, do not abandon your vision. Wait, allow the emotion to settle. Give yourself time to regain clarity, because clarity does not exist in the peak of emotional intensity. This is where discipline protects you. Discipline keeps you from acting prematurely. It keeps you aligned with your long-term vision, even when your short-term feelings are unstable. And this is what separates those who succeed from those who struggle. It is not that successful people do not feel emotions, it is that they do not allow those emotions to control their direction. They feel, but they do not follow blindly. Another important aspect of managing your mood is gratitude. Gratitude is a powerful tool for emotional stability. It shifts your focus from what is lacking to what is present. It reminds you of what is working, even when other things are not. When you consistently practice gratitude, you train your mind to find value in every situation. And this naturally influences your mood. It does not mean you ignore challenges. It means you maintain perspective. Perspective is powerful. Two people can experience the same situation and respond differently. Not because the situation is different, but because their perspective is different. And perspective shapes mood. So train yourself to see beyond the immediate discomfort. Look for lessons. Look for growth. Look for opportunities hidden within challenges. This does not happen automatically. It requires intentional thinking. And over time, this way of thinking becomes a habit. You become less reactive and more reflective, less emotional and more intentional. You begin to carry a sense of stability that is not easily shaken. And that stability becomes your strength. People begin to trust you more because you are consistent. Opportunities begin to increase because you respond wisely. Relationships improve because you communicate with control. All of this flows from emotional discipline. You must also be careful about emotional dependency. Some people rely on external validation to maintain their mood. They feel good only when others affirm them. They feel discouraged when others criticize them. This creates instability. Your emotional state should not be dependent on external approval. It should be anchored in internal understanding of who you are, what you are called to do, and why it matters. When your identity is clear, your emotions become more stable, because you are no longer easily shaken by opinions. And finally, you must accept that managing your mood is a daily responsibility. It is not something you achieve once and maintain automatically. It requires continuous attention. Each day presents new challenges, new interactions, new emotional triggers, and each day you must choose discipline. But over time, it becomes easier. Your responses become more natural, your control becomes stronger, your emotional stability becomes a part of who you are. And when that happens, you begin to experience a different quality of life. You are no longer controlled by every feeling. You are no longer overwhelmed by every challenge. You are no longer reactive in every situation. You become calm in pressure, focused in chaos, stable in uncertainty. And that is true strength. Because a person who can control their mood is not just managing emotions, they are mastering themselves. Money is one of the most misunderstood aspects of human life, not because it is complicated, but because people approach it without principle. They treat it emotionally instead of intentionally. They react to it instead of managing it, and as a result, money becomes a source of stress, confusion, and limitation rather than a tool for purpose and progress. You must begin by understanding a fundamental truth. Money is not your master, it is your servant. But if you do not learn to control it, it will begin to control you. It will dictate your decisions, influence your priorities, and ultimately shape your lifestyle in ways that may not align with your purpose. This is why discipline in finances is not optional. It is essential. Money responds to management, not desire. You may desire financial freedom, but without discipline, that desire will remain a dream. Many people are not poor because of lack of income. They are limited because of lack of management. They earn, but they do not retain. They receive, but they do not direct. And whatever is not directed will eventually disappear. You must develop a mindset of stewardship. Stewardship is the understanding that everything you have is a resource entrusted to you, and your responsibility is to manage it wisely. It is not about how much you have, it is about how well you handle what you have, because how you manage little determines whether you can be trusted with much. This principle applies universally. If you cannot manage a small amount of money with discipline, increasing that amount will not solve the problem. It will amplify it. More money does not create better habits. It reveals existing ones. So the first step is not to chase more, it is to manage what is already in your hands. Take control of your spending. Many people spend without awareness. They make decisions based on impulse, emotion, or social pressure. They see something, they feel something, and they act immediately. But every financial decision has a consequence, whether you recognize it or not. You must slow down your spending. Before you make a purchase, ask yourself a simple question. Is this aligned with my priorities? Not your feelings, not your momentary desires, your priorities. Because your money should reflect what matters most to you, not what attracts you temporarily. There is a difference between needs and wants, and discipline is the ability to distinguish between the two consistently. This does not mean you should never enjoy your money. It means you should enjoy it wisely. There is a difference between controlled enjoyment and careless consumption. One builds your life, the other drains it. Another important principle is planning. If you do not plan your finances will plan your limitations. A plan gives your money direction. It tells every unit of currency where to go before it leaves your hand. Without a plan, money flows randomly, and random flow leads to empty results. Create structure. Decide how much you will spend, how much you will spend, how much you will invest. Do not leave these decisions to chance. Be intentional, because intentional living produces consistent outcomes. Saving is not about restriction, it is about preparation. When you save, you are preparing for the future. You are creating stability. You are giving yourself options, and options are powerful. They allow you to make decisions based on purpose rather than pressure. Many people experience financial stress not because of their income level, but because they lack reserves. They live without margin. Every unexpected expense becomes a crisis because there is no preparation. Discipline creates margin. Even if you start small, start consistently. The amount matters less than the habit, because the habit, once established, will grow. And over time, that growth creates security. But saving alone is not enough. You must also learn to multiply. Money that is only spent and saved will eventually lose value. You must understand the principle of investment. Investment is the process of putting your money to work so that it produces more. This requires learning. It requires patience. It requires the willingness to delay immediate gratification for long-term gain. Many people struggle here because they want quick results. They want instant returns. But true financial growth is a process. It is built over time through consistent and wise decisions. You must shift your thinking from consumption to multiplication. Ask yourself, how can this money grow? Instead of only asking, how can this money be used? Because when your focus shifts, your behavior follows. Another area that requires discipline is debt. Debt is not inherently negative, but undisciplined debt is dangerous. When you borrow without a plan, without strategy, and without control, you place yourself in a position of dependency. You lose flexibility, you lose freedom. You begin to work not for your future, but for your obligations. You must be careful. Avoid unnecessary debt. If you borrow, do so with intention and a clear plan for repayment. Do not allow temporary desires to create long-term burdens. Freedom is built on discipline, not on excess. You must also guard against comparison. Many financial decisions are driven not by need, but by the desire to match others. People see what others have and feel pressure to acquire similar things, even when it does not align with their reality. This is a dangerous trap. Comparison leads to unnecessary spending, and unnecessary spending leads to financial instability. You must define your own path. Your financial journey is unique. Your priorities are specific to your purpose. Do not allow external appearances to dictate internal decisions. Focus on building substance, not just maintaining an image, because an image without substance is unsustainable. Another key principle is generosity. Generosity is not just about giving, it is about positioning your heart correctly. When you are generous, you demonstrate that money does not control you. You show that you are capable of releasing, not just accumulating. But generosity must also be disciplined. Give intentionally. Give within your capacity. Give with purpose, because giving without wisdom can create imbalance, just as withholding without reason can create stagnation. Balance is essential. You must also understand that money amplifies character. If you are disciplined, money will enhance your discipline. If you are careless, money will expose your carelessness. It does not change who you are. It reveals who you are. This is why internal development must come before external increase. Work on your habits, work on your mindset, work on your discipline. Because when increase comes, you will be prepared to handle it effectively. And increase will come when you are ready, because life responds to preparation. You must also learn contentment. Contentment is not the absence of ambition, it is the presence of gratitude. It is the ability to appreciate what you have while working toward what you desire. Without contentment, you will always feel lacking, regardless of how much you acquire. With contentment, you maintain peace while pursuing growth. And peace is powerful, because when your mind is at peace, your decisions are clearer, your judgment is sharper, your actions are more aligned. Financial discipline is not just about numbers, it is about mindset. It is about how you think, how you decide, how you act consistently over time. You do not need to be perfect, you need to be consistent. Make better decisions today than you did yesterday. Learn from your mistakes, adjust your approach, keep moving forward, because every disciplined decision compounds. Over time, those small, consistent choices create significant results. And as you begin to control your money, you will notice something important. You will feel a sense of freedom, not just financial freedom, but mental and emotional freedom. You will no longer feel controlled by your circumstances. You will no longer feel anxious about every expense. You will no longer feel trapped by poor decisions. You will feel in control. And that control allows you to focus on what truly matters, your purpose. Because money was never meant to be your goal. It was meant to support your assignment. It is a tool that enables you to fulfill your vision, to serve others, to create impact. When you understand this, your relationship with money changes. You stop chasing it and you start managing it. You stop fearing it and you start directing it. You stop being controlled by it and you start using it. And that is the shift that changes everything. Because when you control your money, you are not just improving your finances, you are aligning your resources with your purpose, and that is where true fulfillment begins. Everything we have talked about comes down to one simple but powerful truth. Your life will only move in the direction of what you are willing to control, not what you wish for, not what you hope for, not even what you pray for alone, but what you discipline. Because discipline is the bridge between intention and reality. You can have great dreams, but if your mouth speaks against them, your mind doubts them, your mood delays them, and your money mismanages them, those dreams will remain ideas instead of becoming results. So the question is no longer whether you have potential. The question is whether you are willing to manage that potential. Your mouth must align with your vision. Speak life, speak direction, Speak with intention, even when it is uncomfortable, because your words are setting the tone for your future. Your mind must be renewed daily. Guard it, train it, focus it. Do not allow random thoughts to build a random life. Be intentional about what you think, because your thinking becomes your reality. Your mood must be mastered. Feel, but do not follow blindly. Choose purpose over emotion. Choose discipline over comfort, because consistency is born when you act beyond how you feel. And your money must be directed, respected, manage it, assign it purpose. Let it serve your life, not control it, because resources without discipline will always disappear. If you truly take ownership of these 4 areas, something begins to shift. You stop living by default and start living by design. You stop reacting to life and start leading it. You begin to walk with clarity, stability, and quiet confidence, not because everything around you is perfect, but because everything within you is aligned. And that is where true power is found. So take a moment right now and be honest with yourself. Which one of these areas needs your attention the most? Do not ignore it. Do not delay it. Because the longer you avoid discipline, the longer you postpone your growth. Start small, but start now. One controlled word, one disciplined thought, one measured response, one wise financial decision. Do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Because greatness is not an event, it is a pattern. And as you build that pattern day by day, choice by choice, you will discover something remarkable. You are no longer a victim of your habits. You have become the architect of your life. That is your responsibility. That is your power. And that is your invitation to rise, to take control, and to live with purpose, on purpose.